Hi guys, welcome back to the Reboot Show. I'm Sally A Illingworth, your host, and today I'm excited to be here with Andrew Gunnis, Barry Pipella and Amy Smith to have a conversation about new technology tools for the sales role and the sales function of businesses. So we've got Barry Pipella with us today, who is a veteran deal maker. We've got Andrew Gunnis, who is a sales executive and deal coach. And we've got Amy Smith, who is a regular panelist on the Reboot Show. So to get started, I'd love to hear from you, Barry. What are your thoughts on sales as an art or as a science?
Well, sales is both, right? So the science of selling is know yourself, know your customer, know your competitor. You can have all that data, but if the customer doesn't want you, that's an emotional response. So the reality is I want you, I have confidence in you, and I trust you are the three areas of the art. So we've combined the two as much as possible. Science shows us that emotions drive our behavior. And so to understand how people behave, we need to understand not only what they think, but how they feel.
Yeah.
And that is really critical. And especially when you're influencing, the soft, what I call the intangible, I want you, I have confidence in you and I trust you is intangible. The others are tangible. So you need to combine the intangible with the tangible to actually get a momentum going in the deal. If you don't do that, you miss the buying signals. You miss the fact that, and especially in today's environment, it's really difficult because you can't read the body language. It's really hard.
Yep.
And in face-to-face meetings, you can sort of read the body language, and you can see other people looking at each other when you say something, and you say, "Ooh, did I strike a chord, or did I strike miss a chord?" Mm-hmm. But the reality is, people buy from people, and people buy from people they like and people they trust.
And on that note, Andrew, in your experience as an experienced sales executive, do you think that there's quite a challenge for sales executives in terms of maybe learning some of those sort of intangible skills, if you like, that Barry spoke to, particularly around sort of understanding the person, understanding the emotion? Like, is that something difficult to learn for sales executives?
Well, there's a saying, I guess, that, are people born salespeople? I think a lot of people go into sales because they love the challenge, but I think those skills can be taught. Mm-hmm. And there's an old saying, 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? So a lot of people need to listen more. You need to be in the moment. And this comes back to the soft skills, right? We're talking a lot about the soft skills. And a lot of the soft skills that Barry and I were taught, we went through 12 months of training. I mean, I went through entry-level training with IBM, 12 months, solid training without even meeting a customer.
Yeah, wow.
Those days are gone, unfortunately. I think there's now an opportunity for companies to realize, particularly when newer people, we call them the millennials, whatever, are coming into organizations, they do need a level of a process that actually allows them to have a very constructive meeting with a client, to understand the needs, to build a solution, to move the sales momentum. But complex B2B sales is a difficult thing. To be a salesman today, or a salesperson, is one of the most difficult jobs in the world.
And do you think it's become more difficult over time?
Well, yes, because the nature of the solutions and products. If you're just selling a product, it's easy. If you're selling a product and a solution with outcome, difficult. And of course, buyers now have become incredibly savvy. They know a lot more about you than you probably know about yourself when you enter the room. Mm-hmm. And we talk about that's the buying cycle. So a lot of buyers today, because of the internet and because of what companies are putting up on their web pages, and because of Google, and because of all the digital marketing that's done, buyers are very, very savvy now. So by the time you enter that room and you're talking to an executive buyer, they've probably gone through 60 to 70% of their buying cycle. So they've done the interpretation already. That makes it difficult for a sales rep, because customers have said, well, I've come to this conclusion already, and it could be the wrong conclusion.
Yeah, and the only true battlefield in sales or business is in the mind of your client. So you have to keep your client or your customer at the uttermost front of every thought and what you're hearing.
And you hear a lot about customer centricity,
Yeah.
being customer centric. It's now fundamental that you understand your customer as well as you possibly can, to allow you to actually say, my product or service can actually change your company in the way you're doing processes, and also actually impact their bottom line to do something different with your product or service. So it really is consultative selling. You've heard that many, many times, but it's very, very true. And you know, those skills can be taught. And the more experience that you have, and this is why coaches are very important, because coaches have a role today in sales. It's because a lot of salespeople don't see their own swing. You know, this is why the #1 tennis player in the world has a coach. I mean, why would the #1 tennis player have a coach? Fundamental reason: he wants to stay #1, and he can't see his swing. So sales coaches are becoming very important as part of the whole sales ecosystem today of what I call B2B complex selling. And that's why Barry and I, that's why we have a business.
And from a people, yeah, go for it, Amy.
So I was going to say, to Andrew's point, I mean, we are in the age of social selling now. And so, you know, like both Andrew and Barry have said, like people are more educated when they're coming into that sales process. You know, 74% of people do their online research and they're all over it with the social media. And I think sometimes we still have the notion of sales in our head as, you know, the Wolf of Wall Street and always be closing and all these like old school, like more around the tactics and the, you know, the one-liners and things to get people over the line, when it's really about, you know, being able to help that customer feel understood and having that customer centric approach and that consultative approach, to your point, Andrew, as well, I think is super important, because it's only getting more complex as we go forward.
And to that point, Amy, I'd love to hear from you guys, maybe yourself, Barry, to start. What do you think has always been one of the biggest bottlenecks, if you like, for people in that sales function and leading the sales aspect of a business?
I think it's the sales operations, the process. The sales process has become more about the process than the deal in corporates. And when you see that, it's a huge red flag, right? Yeah. I mean, when I was doing deals, and I used to have a boss that used to call me 3 times a day. And how's the deal going? How's the deal going? I mean, and I told him, hey, I'm standing here and I'll tell you how much the glacier has melted. I mean, it's kind of, it's because from a corporate, the sales tools that were supposed to help the salespeople do the deals was all about how can I make my call and my forecast and my number. And the shortened cycles, before it was, you know, we might have a 6-month cycle or a 3-month cycle. The cycles are almost weekly now, you know, of reporting. So corporates have a big responsibility for reporting, but pushing that agenda on top of the sales force takes away the customer's agenda.
Yeah, and particularly if you work for an American corporation, and maybe some of your viewers can relate to this. American corporations report to the stock exchange weekly now. So, and if you get your forecast wrong in terms of, I'll give you an example. I worked for Symantec, and if I called a number of 10 and I actually ended up at 11, I actually was reprimanded. Because I was reprimanded because I didn't know my business. So what that means is that the granularity of focus around forecasting. Have you qualified this deal? Will you close it? I mean, the guys are under enormous pressure today. Now, not so much working for Australian companies, because Australian companies don't do that generally to the stock exchange. But both, whether you're working for an American company or an Australian company, what is important today is to your executives to say, are you calling that number? And am I going to get that revenue in? And can I bill when that service lands? And that today is the #1 challenge for sales, B2B sales professionals. Would you agree, Barry?
Yeah, because it takes away the reality. Every company grows deal by deal, right? And when you lose focus of that deal, and you wonder why your growth is not happening or it's going through, and why you only have 20% of your salespeople that are successful and the others are pushing it through, is you got to put the customer first. I usually tell my guys, you come into the year, you get a quota, you get a budget, and I used to say it's a basket full of apples, beautiful shiny apples, and then halfway through the year you have like maybe 2 rotten apples in there, and it's because you didn't take a couple of those apples, saying those are the ones that are going to that are true deals.
Yeah.
And you qualify them very quickly. And if you can't help, don't waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
And today, the issue is if you don't have a very good qualified deal, then you chase everything.
Mm.
You can't, and the problem is a lot of guys who don't know how to qualify well, they can't tell the difference between an apple and a lemon. Right?
There's that balancing act, right, between the process. You can either, really over-engineer that process where your sales team end up doing things that aren't actually helping them sell, right? A lot of them are spending time doing admin tasks or emails or anything like that, right, which is not actually helping them to hit their goals and the KPIs of the organization. And then you can have no process in place. Like I remember I was working for a firm in London and it was just every man and woman for themselves, in that sales team. And it was so hard to track results. It was so hard, to your point, Andrew, to figure out exactly what you needed to focus your time on as well. And to your point, Barry, as well, not waste time with people that weren't actually going to be conducive of helping you reach your goals. So it's, I think there's that sweet spot in terms of that process there as well to really eliminate any of those bottlenecks in the sales process.
So in terms of using technology to try and improve the role of the salesperson in terms of driving deals and getting deals across the line, but then supporting that back-end sales process from a management and administration standpoint and reporting and compliance standpoint, does anyone have any examples of where we've seen technology majorly fail at actually supporting that function of a business?
Well, I think if I have a crack at it, Barry, I think technology is great. I mean, I think Barry and I have been working in the technology industry for over 35 plus years. I know you find that very hard to believe, but we're technologists. Mm-hmm. So what does technology supposed to do? It's supposed to make people more productive. It makes your job easier. Now, if a piece of technology becomes the heart of the use of, particularly in a sales company, salespeople won't use it. Because they're practitioners and they're practical. They have a job to do, and their job, whether it is to make their budget or to achieve certain targets or to make the customer love them, whatever it is, they will pick and choose very quickly what technology works for them. Now, there are corporate elements inside of every company that you say you must do this. Okay, be compliant. But I think technology really needs to enable salespeople today to unleash themselves, to have the ability to go and understand the client's needs and sell them a solution that's going to be impactful. If the technology doesn't do that, they just won't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people are using technology as a control. And as soon as you start trying to control the salesperson, who has actually no control over the customer, but has influence over the customer, they start questioning themselves and their confidence. One of the things I used to say is, before an RFP is put out, if there was a document coming out, whether it's an RFP or a document from the customer saying this is what we want, and when I would sell it to that customer, I'd say, I want you to do X, Y, Z, exactly what you said. And the document comes out and it says ABC. And I call that the fog of sales. So now you're stuck in this document. The probity might come in for a moment. And then there's a gut feel that you have that you should have done something, but you didn't. Now, I think we should answer it this way. I think we should do X, Y, Z. And the fog lifts and there's the customer shaking hands with your competitor in the corner. I'm thinking, I should have listened to my gut feel back then. But what happens is, this is why the data is so critical, right? Because if you listen to your gut feel and know the data, then you can get rid of this folk wisdom, what I call folk wisdom. And it's an overdependence of internal knowledge of what other people think is true.
And there's probably a lot of bias in that folk knowledge, isn't there?
Huge. Yeah. So if someone says, oh, why are we bidding for this deal? That customer is never going to buy from us. I tried selling him for the last, 2-3 times. And the salesperson says, no, this has changed. And so the value of information offered by people who do not know your customer personally is almost zero, particularly in times of rapid change like today. So who knows it? It's the salesperson talking directly with the customer.
And the flip side, a lot of organizations have lost deals because they've listened to their own BS, right? And it's, we're the incumbent, we're fine, we're strong, we've delivered all this value. Then all of a sudden, there's an RFP that comes out that they never even saw, and they go, what the hell happened? So this all comes back to the point of knowledge. This all comes back to data. It all comes back to customer centricity. But it also comes back to the ability of an organization to qualify whether it's a lemon or an apple. And that skill has been lost amongst the modern sales teams, in my opinion. And that's the reason why Barry and I built the product that we built, to allow these people to, excuse me, look at an opportunity unemotionally, because emotion plays a big part in sales, right? But unemotionally, based on data, to say, should we pursue or not pursue this deal? And
so that process of, sorry, Andrew, that process of qualifying a prospect, there's quite a methodology that a business can adopt there, and businesses can adopt sort of consistently among themselves, say using SATeNAV, to better approach that sales role. There is a methodology they can adopt. They don't need to rely on their biases and their folk knowledge, to Barry's point.
But there needs to be a standardization. Without standardization, you can't have the rigor and discipline to determine whether you're going to bid or no bid, or how you're going to bid. And then you can also coach through a standardization lens. And one of the things that used to frustrate me when I was running large sales teams across Asia Pacific, is the there was no standardization. For every deal, it was different. I'm trying to pick, but I want to know, I used to ask, my first question was, what's the spirit of the deal? And the guys would look at me and say, what do you mean the spirit of the deal? I said, the spirit of the deal. Do they want us? You walk into a room with 20 people and you'll get to know 10 people really well. You'll 5 people you'll sort of chat with, and the other 5, you might glance and never speak to them because the spirits sort of just didn't connect.
No chemistry.
But you could end up marrying that person or becoming great friends with that person when you get to know them. But your very initial response is, where's the spirit of the deal? So do they want us, or do they need us? And those type of questions. So we've put together 11 categories of being able to very quickly qualify, and you get and you understand very quickly what you know and what you don't know.
So in terms of, sorry, Amy, I was going to ask yourself, Amy, actually, in terms of maybe looking at whether it's a SATeNAV or something else, in terms of this change management process for the sales role, the sales function, and those processes, and adopting technology maybe more strategically into that function of the business. What are some of your thoughts on maybe how leadership can do that effectively, given there are maybe a lot of legacy challenges with, sort of biases and whatnot, and I know in my gut this is the right thing, but that may not be the case. What are some adoption strategies that leadership could be thinking about to engage the people in that process?
Yeah, well, you said the key word there is the people, right? I think sometimes we have these technology solutions, but they're not actually designed to work with the people that are trying to use them. So, you have to have a really key understanding of that person's role, their day-to-day role, like their day-to-day role to a granular level, to understand how do they normally function in their day, and how can a technology solution intuitively play a part in that to enhance them, rather than just becoming a barrier that, you say, oh, now we're using this XYZ system, off you go. And then you just feel really lost, because then you're scattered between all these different systems that don't talk to each other and don't work with each other. And that's the hardest part, right? Is because you want it to be an enabler of people. And so I think, you know, from a leadership point of view, there needs to be that sense of ownership and allowing your employees to have that sense of ownership and showing them exactly how it's going to enhance their role rather than detract them from their focus of what their role actually is. So when you're talking about salespeople, you know, if you're spending days and days and days in these training workshops, I remember when I was in sales and sometimes I'd sit in these training workshops and I'd think, look, all I want to do right now is get on the phone, and all I need to do right now is talk to the people I need to speak to in order to get those deals across the line. This feels like a waste of time. So you need to sort of come at it from that level to really understand where your people are coming from and have those technology tools in place to support them. So it's just in time, and it like actually really helps them in the moment rather than just sort of a band-aid solution, if you like.
And I'd love to go for it, Andrew.
No, just picking up on Amy's point. Look, and all of us have been through those terrible workshops.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes. And often taught by people who don't know what they're talking about. But that's another subject. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
But a really good point. And this is why Barry and I, for the last 2 years, have been working on this tool. And our mantra is made by salespeople for salespeople.
Mm.
And our purpose is to actually, through this tool, to make salespeople successful. That's it. And Barry and I have looked at all the tools that are out there. We jettisoned all the bad things. We've taken some of the good things, and we've actually reinvented a sales tool for salespeople. And some of the areas within it are very, very important. Like, for example, we've got the thing called the Vault, which Barry can talk to. We've got V coaching on it. So when you click on a question, why are we asking this question? And that'll be video supported. We've got a thing called the Pulse, which, and this is Barry knows very well, when a deal is on, it is on. And we want to know what's going on inside the deal, both internally and externally. And it's not always about email, and sometimes you can't always have a conversation. So the tool we've created allows the team to actually say, this is what's going on all the time. And the other important aspect, and this is the go-to part of the tool, is we created this thing called the grid. Now, the grid, as you can imagine, is like a maze. And we've created 11 sections within this maze. Now, anyone's walked through a maze, particularly in sales, you think, I'm going to go down this direction, you hit a brick wall. We try and take those brick walls away. And the tool is very intuitive, it works. And like any model, it's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a significant guide. So SATeNAV, Sales Assessment Tool, qualification, electronic, in the cloud, SaaS. And we allow you to navigate through the difficult B2B complex of a sale. Now, here's the important thing. It will help you win. But as importantly, it will help you disengage and stop wasting your resources, your emotion, and the energies of a company on a deal that you're never going to win. That's as important in today's business than winning. It's equally as important because you can take those resources and move on to a next deal.
So from a sales transformation standpoint, Andrew, what you're saying is that it'll effectively allow a lot of that guesswork to be removed. And then further, there's also probably a large element of information retention there for a business. Well, is that the Vault aspect of the solution?
Yeah, the Vault is corporate memory of your sales, corporate memory of your customers in that deal, and corporate memory of exactly whether you won or lost. So for instance, you bid for a piece of business and you lose it. 3 years later, they're up and you're saying, we're going to bid again. What's changed? There's no corporate memory. The salesperson's probably left. So the Vault locks that deal in so you can look back on it and see exactly what happened. The people that were there, what they said, what we said, the whole lot. And then the competitors. Oh, these are the competitors there. And even to the point where, I go and know yourself, know your competition, and know your competitor. Most people say absolutely. And when I talk about knowing yourself, they talk about their people. This is my team. This is what we can do. Right? When I talk about know your customer, those are the people there that we need to convince and know the way through. When I talk about the competitor, they don't know the people. Well, hold it. So the people are important in these two categories, but they're not important here. That's why you don't know your competitor. You might know their products, you might know some of the other things, but if you don't know the people, and that's hard to get, and that's what we focus on and really try to get it. Because once you do know, most people repeat themselves on the strategy that they used before. And that's what I used to have when, you know, in IBM, we had 21 quarters of double-digit growth. We knew every single competitor, and I hired a lot of them because I got to know them.
Yeah, and just on the Vault, we've been speaking to a lot of chairmen of boards of companies, and we're talking to them about what we do. And they've actually said to us, we could actually put that on our balance sheet, the value of that information in the Vault. Because if you think about it for a moment, and Barry's already talked a little bit about this, but you've lost the deal, you come back 3 years later. Where is all the energy? Where is all the assets? Where is all the presentations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? That could cost you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars.
It's like intellectual goodwill in a sense.
Well, it is.
It is, absolutely, yeah.
Because what happens is you get people's opinions of why they lost or why they won.
That's that folklore again.
Yeah, it's a folklore. Right. And
opinions versus the data, hey?
Yeah.
We love the data.
and the thing is, a lot of times you're ahead of yourself in your proposal and your solution, and now it's almost time to actually do it again. They're ready for it. There's so many complexities inside a deal, and the deal is the deal. The other thing is the deal is the deal, right? Every deal is unique. Every deal has its own momentum, and that's why we have what we call a momentum meter. So you can see your momentum. The reason you lose deals, I believe, are twofold. Is if you lose momentum, your value proposition or unique value proposition starts to diminish, right? And if you gain momentum, it's the time that your value proposition, you need to really take it through. Time kills deals, so you got to absolutely focus on that timing. And there's a lot of deals that happened over the last 3 to 4 months that have been deferred because, you know, this great COVID disruptors come in and customers have said, oh, do we really need to do that? Or so it's really brought the attention down to what the customers would basically say, you know, why should I change? Why should I change now? You know, why should you do it? Why can't we do it internally? And why should I use you and your company and your product or service? And why should I spend the money?
Yeah, and status quo today is going to be a big competitor.
Big
because companies are, you know, looking at all their costs because their revenues have collapsed. So status quo is going to be a very big competitor. Now, so one of the other things that our tool does is very important. You lose deals on the basis of what you don't know. And you lose deals on the basis of what you think you know. So the tool qualifies both ends of the spectrum, and it produces a very simple balanced scorecard: green, amber, red, red bad, green good. And we've spent years, really literally the last 2.5 years, languishing over the questions. These are best in breed questions in all the sections. But more importantly, we've created some really interesting algorithms behind each of the questions that produces a result. And we're very excited about it, and we can't wait for our launch. Our launch will be in September to the broader market. It's now in testing mode. And if people want to call us, they can go to www.satenav.com.au, and that'll be the landing page. There's a lot of information there, and there'll be some telephone numbers as well. And we would love to talk to people about some of their issues.
I think it's going to be quite transformational. And I just want to backtrack for a moment, Barry, to what you were speaking about with regards to the Vault aspect of the solution, if you like. And Amy, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So you mentioned sort of your subpar, poor experience, say, you know, however long ago with sales training as a part of that onboarding process. So with a concept and a solution like, say, the Vault, how do you envision that could potentially transform that onboarding process for people in that sales role for organizations if they were using a solution like this where they could retain that intellectual property and that sort of knowledge that's sort of built and generated throughout the process of going through experiences with different deals.
Was that a question for me?
For Amy, I'd love to hear from a people standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Sal. My phone went off. So do you want to just repeat that question real quick for me, or just cut that last little bit?
It's a really good question.
Yeah, so the question with regards to, so Barry was speaking to the vault aspect of the solution, which in effect allows retention of IP and information, if you like, that's learned and archived from experience with deal relative to the business. So from an onboarding perspective, you were speaking earlier about your subpar experiences with training and onboarding, if you like, for a sales role. So how do you envision a concept and a solution like the Vault could transform the way salespeople are onboarded for companies that are using this sort of solution?
Yeah, look, the thing is, like, salespeople need to be set up for success. You know, to Andrew's point earlier, it is a skill, and it is a skill that you can learn over time. And there's some people that say they're born naturally as salespeople and other people aren't, but they need to have the right tools and they need to have the right backup, if you like, to be successful. And so being able to have the right information at their fingertips is crucial. You know, I remember when you are being onboarded as in a sales team, you do rely on the existing team that's around you. And to Barry's point as well, there's a lot of folklore that goes on where you just sort of adopt what you're told, and that may or may not be correct. So when you've got that source of truth and you've got some more information where you can actually do a little bit of digging and investigating yourself, and that intuition kicks in and that curiosity to actually sort of find your own answers to your questions is really important. And I think being able to get people to a point of success faster in a role helps them to really establish and start owning that role, and gains that momentum for someone that's, you know, come on board from an organization. Because I know salespeople, if they don't get success, you know, in the first week or couple of weeks, it's a bit of a hit to the ego. And so they might start thinking, well, maybe this isn't a position for me, or maybe this isn't the right environment for me to really be successful in. And so if you don't have that backup and that support in that onboarding process, it will really come back to bite you.
So sorry, Barry, go for it.
Yeah, because you need to know all the aspects of the data, including can we make a profit? Can we deliver? Because the worst thing than losing a deal is winning a deal you can't deliver. And the narrative from the corporate goes to the customers via the salesperson, and if delivery is not part of that, whether it's a product or a service or both, they need to be a part of that. And the salesperson, it's upon them to ensure that the customers, or that your promises to the customers, are absolutely delivered and can be delivered. Never overpromise.
And I think one of the things that I've observed over many, many years, you know, when you win a deal, everyone goes to the pub. When you lose a deal, everyone runs. And a high-performing sales company, regardless what it is, takes the wins and losses very seriously on an equal footing, right? So learning from why you lost a deal and having all the data there to analyze it, incredibly important, because you won't make the same mistakes again if you can. As importantly, to understand why you won. And if you know why you won, just keep repeating it, because the competition will come in and change their mode of operandi every time. So I think win and loss reviews are very important, and the Vault in the tool allows those workshops, if you want to call them that, or reviews. You've got all the tangible evidence, and that, again, you know, by default you get the Vault.
So bringing on new salespeople. You have the Vault, and we also have the V-Coach in every question of why you're asking the question, what you expect to get out of it. And if you're not trained in that, we have a linkage to 2 or 3 training. For instance, for me, one of the best competitive analysis tool comes out of Spin, the old Spin back in 85, right? A very, very good tool. And so we link that, saying, hey, go take this training course with Spin.
Yeah, exactly. And so the tool is agnostic regarding what the tools, sales processes or tools that a company uses. But if you've got an internal investment, we can incorporate that into the tool and say, go there, go over here, use.
So in terms of, to your point, Andrew, about building out, say, high-performing sales teams, it'd be great to understand how can a company successfully adopt a solution like this? You know, there was a bit of reference at the beginning of this segment around sort of where technology has potentially failed or not completely served that sales role. So what can an organization do to effectively and successfully adopt, say, SATeNAV?
Well, the problem that SATeNAV solves really, really well is that a company has at the start of the year a number of opportunities, whether it's incumbency or new business. And it's all about where does a company put its resources, and they're not unlimited, they're limited resources, people, money, assets, whatever, into pursuing a deal. Now, I can guarantee people listening to this program that our tool will increase the win rate by 100%. Now, how can I say that?
I was going to say that's a confident claim to go out with.
Well, I'll tell you how it works. It's a very simple mathematics. If you're working on 10 deals and 5 of them you know bid on and get the hell out of them, and 5 you will win, I've just doubled your win rate. And that's what the tool does. It says, focus on those and get the hell out of those. And you can speak to any sales director in the world and they'll tell you that they've worked on deals that they should never have worked on, because the sales rep may have been very convincing.
And you feel like you should as well sometimes. You feel like that's your job.
And it may be the only opportunity that you have, right?
Exactly.
So it takes a lot of guts to say, you know, Mr.
Say no.
We're saying no. We're getting out. We're going to find another deal. You'd agree with that, Barry, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, this goes back to Sun Tzu, right? Sun Tzu said, know yourself, know your customer, know your competitor. If you know all 3, you will never lose.
Correct.
And the reason, and everyone says, that's crap, but it's not crap, because if you know you're going into a fight with a competitor that you're going to get beat up on, you don't go into that fight, right? You change the rules. You try change the rules. And if you can't change the rules, walk away, because you can't win.
So in your experience, Barry, who would you envision is, say, the decision maker or the leader in an organization in terms of looking at a solution like SATeNAV? Who needs to lead that transformation consideration?
Well, I think the sales people have to see it as a tool that makes them successful, right? As a sales manager, it enables you to coach your team on that. Those are the 2 areas, right? It's a practitioner's tool. The corporate part is, we link into your CRM. Yes, we do the vault. And yes, we can take all of your assets and link it into each of the categories in training assets. So for me, you have a tight team and a deal. And I used to tell my guys, hey, if you want, and you might have an account manager, you might have subject matter experts, technical, you got to bring them into the team. And if you want to see your name in lights, your name will be the only name in lights on every loss report, because it means that as a deal maker, you didn't bring the team together, right? And on the win report, your name will be on a list somewhere, because people buy from people and teams sell as teams. And complex sales always needs some type of a team, whether it's a little bit of delivery or finance, executive, account management. If it's a transaction, one-on-one, simple transaction process, which can be difficult to sell, but that's not our tool. That's not what we're focused on.
But to your point, Sally, if I can answer it this way, first of all, we're happy to sell 1 license.
Yeah.
Because we've created a practitioner. So it's like going into a Harvey Norman to Bunnings and saying, I'm a builder. I want to buy a hammer. They go, no, you've got to buy 20. No, we don't. But on the flip side of that, if we're dealing with a large enterprise that sees the value in the product, we're happy to sell an enterprise license. So yes, a sales director. But here's the thing: every tool must be owned by someone, or any sales process must be owned by someone internally. If it's not owned by a sales director or the chief executive officer or the managing director, and they say, this is the way we're going to do it, it will probably fail. So there has to be a level of ownership and a level of leadership around senior folk to say, you know what, this is good, it does work, and we will apply all the necessary skill and rigor to it. And this is the way we sell around here. So that's the culture.
That top-down approach, right, Andrew?
It's absolutely, it's very, very important. And the flip side, tools fail is because they don't deliver value to the practitioner. And if they're too hard to use, too cumbersome, too slow, et cetera, too burdensome, people will go, I'm not going to use it. And that's what's happened. I've seen it many, many times.
What would you say, I'm just mindful of time, but what would you say are your individual key takeaways for the audience today in the context of sort of transforming that sales space with the technology tool, like, for example, SATeNAV? Amy?
I think, you need to think about the environment and the complexity that we're in today's world, and how even more complex that's going to become. And, you know, with COVID times, so many people working remotely and everything as well, like, how do you get that source of truth when you're not actually sitting next to someone in the office and can have that conversation? So I think it's important for leaders to really think about not just where we are now, but actually where we're heading, and think about their people and what their people need in order to support them in their roles. Not just about, you know, oh, let's just get something because I think it's great. It's actually thinking from a people point of view about getting something that will serve them.
Barry?
Yeah, I think to me, the deal is the deal. You grow one deal at a time. And I think it's either, I can't remember, it's Chinese or Japanese proverb that says, he who chases two rabbits catch none. And it's because you need to focus on that customer. And if you can't catch it, you will catch another one, but you got to focus on one at a time. And what our tool has been able to do is saying, we can categorize exactly where that's at with your momentum.
Andrew?
Yeah, and I love this word. I've been hearing it a lot through the COVID times. The Band-Aid has been ripped off.
There you go.
And the Band-Aid has been ripped off inside of sales organizations, and it goes something like this. If the sales process is more important than the sale, you're in big trouble. And I guess what our tool does, it gets right to the heart of a deal. To Barry's point, an organization grows deal by deal by deal. And that's what our technology does. We've tested it, it works, we're very excited about it. And this has been an awesome discussion. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Andrew Gunnis, Barry Pipella, and Amy for joining us today. I'm sure the audience has enjoyed this conversation around sales technology. And we will be sure to link in your website for SATeNAV, which I believe is launching is at the beginning of September.
September 1st, first day of spring. We're going to spring into the market.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. To our audience watching this segment, please do make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you on the next segment. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.